Hey, Tim, I appreciate you joining me today. So before we jump into this, just give me a quick second, introduce yourself and your business for me.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on here today. So Tim Visconti, founder and CEO of a staffing and marketing firm called PeopleLift, based in the Peachtree City, Georgia area. We operate in 6 different states and 12 different markets, serving the manufacturing, industrial, supply chain, and uh, basic engineering space as well.
Beautiful. So what exactly does PeopleLift do, and for how long have you been running the company?
Sure. So we founded in 2017. So we just recently celebrated our 5-year anniversary and jumped on to the regional Inc. 5,000 list. So that was a fun little win for us this past week. So you're catching us in a good mood here, right? But what we do specifically is we build high quality talent pipelines. We focus on building awesome content for our candidates to consume, building great processes to help our clients work through the talent acquisition process and create a positive experience from brand unaware till your first day.
Perfect, perfect. So what are your goals for the company? Where do you want to take it long term?
Well, you're asking me, I'm Italian, so it's always going to be more, right? But for this particular year, we're looking to continue our breakneck pace of doubling our size every year for the past 3 years. So that includes both in headcount and revenue. We're looking to expand our operations and to be able to support South American organizations here as well. So we've got offices in Atlanta, in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area in Pennsylvania. We also have offices in Puerto Rico. So potentially looking at expansion into Central and South America this year. But big wins are supporting our local communities and local businesses here in the Fayette area.
Beautiful. So helping lots of different markets there. So who exactly is your target client? Who inside those markets are you trying to help?
Sure. So when you see a hiring sign or please come apply or we'll hire you on the spot, that is our ideal customers. So organizations that are struggling to identify, attract, and engage talent to get them to enter into their talent funnel. And they can be one-off positions in retail environments, or they can be high volume, consistent roles in manufacturing environments. We've typically found our biggest success usually in that early career to the second stage career range being $15 to about $25, $26 an hour. So if that's in your range, what you're paying, and you're looking to fill a position here today, we have a service for you.
Perfect. So you've got a little unique experience. You had a year or two running this thing before COVID hit and then went through the pandemic. So in that process, what are some mistakes that you made or a lesson that you've learned that other entrepreneurs could learn from, regardless of their industry?
How much time do you have? I mean, I don't know if we can put it all into one. I think the biggest thing is that I went from spending 15 years helping organizations convert from print to digital, working for Silicon Valley 6 media companies, to now supporting organizations that are trying to hire in that, again, that $15 to $25 an hour range. Very different market, very different customer base. So the biggest lesson is just the agility and the adaptability, is that you go from one area for most of your life to now having to learn a different industry. You gotta put on your learning hat real quick and check your ego at the door, because you have to learn and grow to understand a different consumer base and different patterns. But as for the mistakes to avoid, the biggest one is always kind of getting too far ahead of yourself. So what I mean by that is take your time. My dog is giving you a little bit of too much background. Total agreement there. Take your time. Make sure you don't get too far over your skis, meaning as you're building your plans, your investment tracks, to make sure that you're adequately preparing for those situations that can arise and pop out of nowhere, meaning the COVID events, the black swan events that happen in business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in making that shift and learning some of those lessons, did you have a great coach or great mentor that stands out? And why would you say that person?
Sure. I've got a suite of them. I think it's one of the most important things to really look at. So some folks will call it a board. I call it my group of folks that just like me long enough to keep giving me advice over time. But it's been critically important to that evolution of myself as a leader, but then also taking on different challenges, because you just don't know what you're going to face. And having those folks to be able to lean into on those specific problems are critical to your growth. I would argue that they say raising a child takes a village, right? It's the same kind of mentality with an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So Obviously, you've grown fairly quickly here over the past several years, doubling in size fairly frequently. What does the future look like? Or are there any challenges you see as you continue to scale up?
I think the biggest challenges we're facing the same challenges that everyone's excelling in the marketplace. How to make sure that we position ourselves as the place that you want to work with and the place that you want to grow with as well. Because there's a lot of competing narratives out there. You know, we don't want to work, or we want to do side hustles or do our own individual work, or the layoff narratives that are happening out there. It's a very tough and weird marketplace to get into. So for us, we experience the same thing. But I would say that the future of the PeopleLift brand is really only going to grow one excellent person at a time. We have tremendous processes and a really interesting go-to-market, but we are a people-first business. So the more we're able to hire great people, the faster we'll be able to grow.
Absolutely. It always comes down to the team around you and the people you're communicating with. So you touched on it a little bit earlier with some of the lessons that you learned, but if you had to narrow down to one specific piece of advice you would give a new entrepreneur in today's world, what would that be?
Just keep going. In March 2020, I thought the business was over. We had seen a catastrophic cut in our client revenue, and everything possible was negative. Like the charts are just frightening. But 3 months later, we were on a new path that took us to where we're at today. And it's one of those situations where you just got to keep going for as long as you can and keep pushing through, because invariably the challenges are going to happen and you're not going to be prepared for it. And it's probably going to be something you've never encountered before. And you have to be right. That's the entire burden of being an entrepreneur, is that you have to keep going from that perspective, because eventually, if you, with that mentality, you'll find, that open field, you'll find some blue ocean, if you will. And however many analogies I can bring into this, just keep going.
Perfect. So obviously, in today's market, people are always looking to hire. You have a service that many businesses could benefit from, like right now. So what is the best way for them to connect with you or PeopleLift to learn more?
Sure. Very simple. PeopleLift.com. And then there's a contact form right there that says start recruiting in the top fold of your page. That brings us right to us. It'll plug right into our systems and we'll get back to you usually within an hour. That's where really quick turnaround time frame from there. Secondary though, check out our LinkedIn. We have content flying out anywhere, and all of those have links back to the website as well, but www.peoplelift.com.
Perfect. And I'll link all that in the description so people can easily find it. So my last question for you today is, what most inspires you moving forward in the business?
It goes back to the core concept. Our first word of our name is people. The people that help rebuild or build products here in America, the people that help ship supplies to be able to help connect communities, and the people that help lift the business and all us around. That is what gets us fired up every day. We're our people business. So that inspiration carries us through the tough times, the good times, and keeps us on our trajectory we have going forward.
Awesome. Hey, Tim, I really appreciate you joining me and sharing some of your insight today. It was great talking to you.
Great chat. Thanks for having me.